Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. Today is actually one of those more special episodes for me because we're going to be looking at a toy line that I'm really crazy about. And it was actually a line that I figured would actually take me forever to even get a few pieces in. And luckily, I found a bunch of sellers overseas that were selling these items. So I went out and simultaneously started acquiring all these figures from the overseas sellers. And you already know, we're talking about the Simba bootleg wrestling action figures. Now, we have done a review on a couple of figures that I bought locally a few weeks ago. We are going to take a look at those two figures yet again when we look at Series 2. But right now, there's only really one figure that I purchased that hasn't arrived yet. But I got a couple card figures, so I will at least be able to show you the card back to show you which figure basically is missing. Crazy ecstatic, man. These things are so freaking cool. I was actually very surprised at how lame, for lack of a better term, how lame the card backs are on these bootleg figures. I was actually kind of expecting a actual bubble on the cards, just like any other action figure, right? And that's not what happens. When you're looking at the wrestling champs, the Simba figures, this is it. This is your card. Your card back is very small, which is fine, not a big deal. But you see this? No bubble, no protection. It just has that little string basically keeping the figure connected to the card. So that's kind of lame. So this particular character, his name is Pit Hammer. A little bit of a bulkier character, a bulkier figure, but I've essentially been comparing him to the Series 1 Hulk Hogan. So, face-wise, for bootleg, I think that's very Hulk Hogan reminiscent. The whole arm slamming motion. So, that right there is, again, the Hogan thing. Does this have a working action feature? And this does not. Possible if I take this off card that it might have like a different feature, but irrelevant. We're looking at the body type, not so much the action feature, right? I think this is an awesome comparison. I think that's probably what they were going for. The legs might be a little bit separated a little bit differently, but the pose-wise, that's about as close as you're going to come. When you're looking at Hasbro figures in general, a lot of these figures are, again, they're utilizing the exact same bodies. Ultimate Warrior, British Bulldog, Ludwig Borga to an extent. Guys like that. Demolition Axe as an example. They all have the same pose, so same body. So you're pretty much going to get the exact same figure anyways in that regard. Right now, Pit Hammer is the only Series 1 figure that I do have. And where is he at? Do I have a... I do not. I thought the one I ordered was also Series 1, but I was wrong. Oh, is that him? Yeah, that's him probably as well. Zambo Zodiac. This guy right up here. When you look at the hand positioning, we're going to look at it at the time. He's basically just another Dusty Rhodes figure. Kind of like this type of deal, right? So, when that guy comes in, we're going to take a look at that figure as well. I bought that one loose, so he won't be carded. So, we got 8 figures from Series 1. 1 currently on hand, 1 due in. So for figures I figured I would never be able to pick up because you just never see them available for purchase. Getting at least 2 of them is pretty fantastic. And then you get into Series 2, and this one, So this guy's name was Pit Hammer from Series 1. And this guy from Series 2 is also named Pit Hammer. Well, that's confusing as heck. But Pit Hammer, where's he at? He's right there. Pit Hammer. Same thing, man. No bubble on these guys. And even though this is a carded figure, this arm feels relatively loose. I don't know if this was ever taken off card and just like reapplied at some point. Doesn't matter. I mean, I think it's just nice to be able to have it with the original card backing, so that's pretty incredible. So, and before I got the carded figure, I did actually buy him loose from another seller, and I actually got this with with another figure, and I don't know. I think I got this one from Germany. Not the same body type, but in reference to the face, at least, a perfect rendition of Axe without the face paint. And I think my buddy Nathan over at Ohio Figures, I think he's the one that actually pointed that out, that he looked like that he was Axe without the face paint. I looked at him like, heck yeah, you know what? 100% right. I really wouldn't have even caught that if he didn't mention that. I would have simply looked at the body type and figured, okay, who were they trying to go after? But head mold wise, no brainer, 100% Demolition Axe as a comparison figure. So it looks like a lot of what Simba utilized was a lot of the Jake Roberts figures, either the left arm or the right arm. You know, with Hasbro, it was always right arm punching motion. Jake Roberts and Billy Gunn and Series 5 Hulk Hogan, Papa Shango, guys like that, right? So there's a whole laundry list of arm punching motion figures, but just name a few of them. The arm punching motion probably wasn't my favorite pose, but I did say at one point that I kind of feel like the arm punching motion, it did work better for some figures aesthetically. So, and it just feels awkward, kind of switching over to the left side to pull the arm back, because you're so used to doing it from over here, right? So it just feels unnatural. So Pit Hammer, a really good looking figure. Another awesome Simba. Having a carded and loose figure. Yes, it would be awesome to have a loose figure or a card figure of a loose figure I don't have. But you know what? You make do with what you got. I think it's just more important about getting a carded figure, irrelevant of whether or not you own the figure or not, as a loose individual piece. So I think all these card backs might actually be identical. Like, there's not actually any names or anything on the bottom of these cards. So pretty much any figure could be applied to these cards. So it is strongly possible that these figures were at some point removed and they just reconnected them. I'm going to assume that they're new mint on card, but because I think that's how I purchased them. But you saw from the by messing with the arms, they felt loose. They didn't feel like naturally tight or anything. But this one is probably one of my top favorites, mostly because he's a Demolition Axe figure, and I just like the overall look of it. Also from Series 2, we've got Punching Paul. Now, Punching Paul, this was the very first figure. Actually, I take it back. This was the second figure that I picked up from Ohio Figures, and I got the Jim Duggan version. And then when Nathan listed this figure, I'm like, hey, can I make an offer on this? And sure enough, he accepted, and I was able to get both figures at the same time. So this one is absolutely no-brainer. I mean, there's not even a comparison where you have to like, I wonder who that is. Literally 100% the exact figure. And I've said it before, I think Simba, in regard to these particular figures, I think is a whole lot better. The grip it, when you're gripping the figure, the bulkiness, the heftiness, the weight, I just think even the size of the arms, these are just so small and thin, and when you compare it to the thickness of the arm, I just feel like if you were a kid, you would have had so much more enjoyment from a figure like this. So I know that if there's any customizers out there that ever want to turn this into this, you know what? Hey, it may not be an original Simba, but save yourself some money if you ever want to go that route. I obviously want to have the original pieces for my collection, but that sucks. I mean, sometimes for the right piece, yeah, you're gonna go the custom route. I'm not paying $1,200 for a brown-haired mail-away Undertaker Hasbro, right? My buddy Rob did one for me. He charged me what, $10 for it? All I had to do was send him an Undertaker, and he highlighted the red to brown to give me the perfect mail-away Undertaker figure. Or Mega Maniacs prototype, which never existed. Mail-away Hulk Hogan. I'm not paying $900 to $1,200 for a mail-away. Rob does a beautiful job. Perfect complimentary piece to it. So there's certain pieces where I'm like, heck yeah, custom route every time. But this right here, this is a really solid piece, and this is what I'm talking about. You're so used to doing it on the right side that when you had to switch over to left, it's just so awkward. Jake Roberts. Punching Paul. Alright, next one on card was Knockout Joe. Now this one was the most questionable. So Knockout Joe and this version of Pit Hammer, I got it from the same seller. I keep looking at this guy and all I see is like maybe a Kevin Sullivan or something. I cannot place this face. I have absolutely no idea, Hasbro-wise, who I could possibly compare this to. I mean, everybody, it seems like all of the Simbas have these arm punching motions, so body type really doesn't do anything as a comparable figure. So face wise, you can't call him Hulk Hogan because you've got other figures that are much more better quality replication or replicas to Hulk Hogan. So I think visually that, I don't know, Kevin Sullivan to me makes the most sense. And they just got the exact same look. Literally, white beater, trunks, knee pads. They just, obviously change out the color scheme, but it's roughly the same exact figure. And of course, you're obviously having to mirror the arm positioning and everything, but if you guys have any idea who you think this could be, you know what? I have an idea. Looking at this face, this could be one of the Bushwhackers. Maybe. I mean, if we could think about that Pit Hammer as being Axe without the face paint, why not think about the Bushwhackers with blonde hair? I think that face could be one of the Bushwhackers. What do you think? Am I way off, or do you think that holds merit? I'm gonna call it the Bushwhacker because I think that's actually a fair comparison. All right, next one up. Earl of Power. Earl of Power. So there was two figures from, I don't know where the guy is. He's either in Germany or the UK. I'm going to say the UK guy, I don't remember. And he had two figures. One was the Roddy Piper figure. The Roddy Piper figure, and the other was a Rick Rude figure. And I was going to purchase both figures because I said before, man, when you're buying from an overseas seller, if you buy one of these figures and you're paying $50 shipping, no, that is so freaking crazy. If you're buying multiple figures, like if I'm buying from the UK seller and I'm buying like a bundle of like on auction, I win like 20 figures, and they package that box up, and they send it to Royal Mail Air, and it costs you like $40 or $50, whatever, for a box of 20 figures, compared to paying that same $40 for a box of one figure. Yeah, I'm going to try and win as many figures as humanly possible. So, when I ended up buying this figure from Nathan at Ohio Figures, it kind of put a halt to my goal to pick up that Rick Rude figure from that overseas seller. Maybe I would be willing to buy both figures and include $50 shipping, but one figure for $50, it didn't make sense. Two figures didn't make sense. Not really. I mean, these are 4 ounces. From state to state, this costs you $4 or $5 to ship. So, how much further is somewhere like Israel? Because I think I paid like $50 shipping from Israel to the U.S. And Germany, I think it was like the same thing, $40, $50. And I got to assume that those places are probably closer than the UK. I got to imagine, like Germany especially, it's got to be easier to get mail from Germany to the States as opposed from the UK to the States. I just wish freaking eBay would quit their nonsense. Like, I can use the global shipping program, and some UK seller or buyer can buy something from me and pay like $7 shipping or $5 shipping, and all I gotta do is send it to the global shipping hub, and that's it. They pay the $5 shipping for me to send it to the shipping hub, and then they ship it from the shipping hub to them in the UK. But because they don't do UK to the US through the global shipping program, you're having to pay this massive shipping cost, and it's wasteful. So, but this was another fantastic pickup, and this is what I'm talking about when you're looking at these figures and they're nice and bulky. I mean, they're nice mirrors. Because of the girth of these figures, the width of the... I talk about weight. I mean, they're not like super heavy or anything. But when you hold a Hasbro in your hand, you hold one of these in your hand, yeah, you feel the difference. It's not even a question. And these are just so much fun. I'm not sitting there wrestling with these or anything, but you really want to. And Roddy Piper Series 2 from Hasbro is not a bad figure. In fact, I would actually argue that this is an amazing figure if it weren't for the stupid rocking chair feet. Because this figure is like like the Bushwhackers, and even Jim Neidhart. They got the rocking chair feet, and most of the time they don't stand up on their own. And if they do stand up on their own, a little tilt, a little push on the table or something, and they fall over. And it's so freaking frustrating. But if you gave the figure, flat feet like this, beautiful, give them a nice spread the legs not apart. Well, even if this was spread, was flat-footed, this would be awesome. Because he's got a fantastic fighting pose. It's an incredible look. Roddy Piper has name recognitions. He's a character I care about. So Hasbro Roddy Piper is fantastic. It's just the reason I despise the Hasbro Roddy Piper figure so much is because the stupid feet kill the figure for me. Otherwise, this would go from a top 10 worst Hasbro figure of all time to probably one somewhere in like the mid range. Earl of Power, Fantastic piece. I just can't get over this. How odd that feels to have to do the arm punching motion from this side. Head sculpt, pretty much using the exact same head sculpt as the Hasbro. They just blended his hair out. Good looking figure. All right. Earl of Power. We looked at Pit Hammer. Catching Tiger. I don't know if you're going to be able to make it out, but that is Catching Tiger. I talked to Nathan, and he does not have one. He said that's probably one of the Simbas he doesn't have, which is a shame. And Catching Tiger, who I've been classifying as Rick Rude. That one and the Earl of Power I would have purchased together if I didn't get the Earl of Power from Nathan. So, really, the Catching Tiger is the only one I'm missing from Series 2. And at least I could say the loose collection would be complete, but from Series 2, but I refuse to pay $50 shipping on that. I mean, maybe one day I might have to. When I what was it, like July 22nd, I think, I went into eBay and started buying up like all of these figures, and shipping costs be damned, because I wanted all these figures, and I wanted to buy them all at the same time because I wanted them to basically arrive around the exact same time, so that when I made this video, I wouldn't have to sit back and make one video a week or one video every 10 days or so. I could have them all simultaneously, and I'm still missing one figure that hasn't arrived yet. So. The last one on this one is called Fighting Bull. Fighting Bull was one of the first figures that I reviewed with the Simbas, and it was the very first Simba I ever purchased, and it came from Nathan at Ohio Figures. Fighting Bull is just another Hacksaw Jim Duggan figure. I mean, just swapping out the black hair for straight orange all across. Orange hair, red hair, I don't know how you want to look at it. To me, it looks orange. Reddish orange, I don't know. I think this one had a wind up or something. Yeah, it's not working, so, but I think that's what this one had. Alright, so it looks like you gotta go this way. Thought you could go this way as well, but anyways, yeah. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Hacksaw's another one. To me, I think Hacksaw Jim Duggan Hasbro is like one of the most go-to action figures ever from the line. It's one of the top 10 worst Hasbro figures, not because of play or anything. It has one of the best play poses, girth-wise, perfect. It just color scheme. It's a very plain figure. Otherwise, if you were to take this, one of the top 10 worst Hasbros ever, and take the Series 9 Jim Duggan, one of the best Hasbro figures ever made, and it's the exact same figure, just different color scheme, so just a little paint makes all the difference in the world. But what did I say, Fighting Bull? Yep, Fighting Bull would be the last of the Simba Series 2 action figure. I hate how loose this head is. So, awesome piece. Love these Simbas. And I love that it did not take me as long to collect these lines, or collect this line as I had thought it would. So just another fun video for you guys. Hopefully this is something that, if you weren't familiar with the Simba figures, it just kind of gives you a glance at additional lines that are out there, and maybe it sparks your interest, and maybe you might want to go for these figures as well. If not, hey, it's just something that you can look at and enjoy. Again, I kind of build this museum down here so I can share the different things with you guys. In the next video, guys, Saturday, I also got in the next batch. Well, not batch. It was just one figure, but from the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. So we're gonna look at the new Ric Flair figure. It's only one figure, so it should be a relatively quick video. But you know how I like to talk, so it might be a 15-minute video. Who knows? But I'm thinking that's probably gonna be either Monday's video. Yeah, that'll probably be Monday's video. So. And I'll stay down here and make that video right now, so it's in queue, ready to go when the time comes. Well, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. And guys, before I close, man, if you do have any particular lines of interest, not necessarily something that I have, maybe it's something that you have interest in, that you would love to see me collect and maybe talk about on the channel later on. Let me know. I always love referrals. It could be referrals to new collections. It could be referral to somebody's new channel. Whatever the case might be. I'm always open to ideas. Alright, guys. That's it for now. As always, thank you so much for watching. And until next time. Goodbye, everybody.